Good day, everyone. So here is the explanation for the financial planning tools and concepts. So the objectives for this lesson is for you to know and for you to explain the importance of planning, for you to differentiate what is the difference between long-term and short-term planning, and to enumerate and apply the steps in planning. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to follow the motivation. So you have to ask yourself, how do you see yourself 10 years from now? So kindly explain your reasons. Just say it to yourself. But please kindly answer this question with honesty. And now, after realizing the things that you want to do or the things that you want to achieve 10 years from now, how will you be how will you be able to attain this goal? So we have two questions. So we will use that question in our lesson. That is very vital, vital part of our lesson. So yung question natin in number 1, your answer in the first question is the long-term goal. Kasi yun yung mga bagay na gusto nyong gawin sometime in the future. That is the plans that you want to achieve in the future. Kaya siya tinatawag na long-term goal kasi pang matagalan siya. So in the activity you did, you have demonstrated that planning plays an important role in our everyday life. Kasi you already have a mindset of plans that you want to do in the next 10 years. Maybe you want to be a business man, businesswoman, an accountant, um, a successful man or woman in your chosen field or chosen career, anything na gusto mo ma-achieve in the future, tinatawag natin yan na long-term goal. So under ng long-term goal, we have planning. So according to Getman and Zotter, planning is an important aspect of the firm's operation because it provides roadmaps for guiding, coordinating, and controlling the firm's actions to achieve its objective. So again, planning daw is a very vital part of the operation of the company. So, di ba sinabi ko naman sa inyo, ang business finance is about both of the personal finance and the corporation's finance, corporate finance. So, dito pinag-uusapan natin yung mga bagay na pwedeng i-relate natin sa sarili natin as well as in the corporation. So, planning is a very vital aspect of the operation of the company because it serves as a blueprint. It serves as a guideline kung saan ito yung bibigay ng mga instructions paano natin gagawin yung mga bagay na gusto nating ma-achieve. Ano yung mga actions na kailangan nating sundan para magawa yung mga bagay na pinaplano natin. Next is management planning. So management planning is about setting the goals of the organization and identifying ways on how to achieve them. So dito, pinagkaibahan ng planning sa management planning, hindi lang goal ang kailangan nating ma-identify, kundi ano ba yung mga bagay or mga ways or methods or processes na kailangan nating magawa, na kailangan nating gawin para ma-achieve natin yung mga bagay na pinaplano natin. So yun yung management planning. While your answer in the second query or the second question, ano ba yung second question natin? So, unang question natin, how do you see yourself? So, ano yung gusto mong mangyari? If, example, gusto mong maging successful na accountant or sa customs. The second question is, how will you be able to attain this goal? So, ang sagot dyan, ang ibig sabihin niyan, paano mo daw ba maa-attain yung mga goal na gusto mong gawin? So, of course, you have to start now. There's no other day to start. There's no other best day to start but today. So, kailangan mag-aaral ka ng mabuti, umattend ka ng klase, gawin mo yung mga activity. So, doon pa lang sa ginagawa mo araw-araw, pwede na nung ma-define kung ma-achieve mo ba talaga yung plan mo in the future. So, your answer in the second query is the short-term goal. So, short-term goals are specific steps or actions that will ultimately reach the company's long-term goals. So, kung makikita natin dito, parang ang long-term goals ay yung vision ng company kasi it is what you visualize for your company sometime in the future. While short-term goals are the mission. Kasi ano ba yung mga ways na kailangan natin gawin, kailangan nating sundan para ma-achieve natin ang ating mga ang ating mga goals. So, mission, ano yung mga specific ways or specific steps na kailangan natin gawin para ma-achieve natin ang ating mga pinaplano. So, long-term goals naman set the direction of the company. So, they serve as a guideline, as a blueprint, kasi ito yung sinusundan natin para tama at hindi tayo nagde-deviate from our plans. So, one thing to do to achieve our long-term goals and short-term goals is to follow the steps in planning. So we have six steps in planning. And when we say steps, dapat po talaga sunod-sunod yan. Pag steps, kailangan ay sunod-sunod. So the first one is we have to set goals or objectives. Diba sinabi ko na sa inyo dati pa kung anong pinagkaibahan ng goals and objectives. Pag goals, ito yung mga long term, ito yung mas matagal makuha, ito yung mga masyadong malalawak, while objectives are very specific. Since specific sila, short term lang din natin sila ma-achieve. So now, for corporations, long-term and short-term objectives are usually identified. This can be seen in the company's vision and mission statements. So, ang goals or objectives for the corporation is the company's vision and mission statements. So, the vision statement states where the company wants to be, while the mission statement states the plans on how to achieve the vision. So, the vision statement, alam niyo na yan, paulit-ulit natin sinasabihan na ito yung gusto mong makita in the future. So, yung time niya, future pa. Yung mission statement at present siya kasi ano yung kailangan mo magawin ano yung kailangan mong gawin para ma-achieve yung vision na sinet mo for the company. Now, in achieving or in doing or in setting a goal or objective, we have to follow the SMART. We have to be smart. What is SMART? It's just an abbreviation. S stands for specific. We have to target a specific area of improvement. Kailangan, alam na, dapat very specific yung ginagawa natin na goal or objective. Alam agad natin, hindi siya masyadong general. Alam natin agad sa unang tingin pa lang kasi hindi lang naman managerial positions, mga tao yung hindi lang naman mga managers, mga presidents, mga employees talaga natin yung sumusunod ng goals na siniset natin. Kahit yung mga lower management of employees natin, kailangan maintindihan din nila yung siniset natin ng mga goals. Kaya S stands for specific. Target a specific area for improvement. Be thoughtful and specific about what you want to focus on. Dapat alam mo, very specific. Kasi pag very specific, alam din ng bawat tao kung ano yung actions na gagawin nila. Next is M. M starts for measurable. Quantify or at least suggest an indicator of progress. So, dapat may quantity nakalagay doon sa siniset natin na goal. Para measurable siya. So, we have to pick a goal that is measurable. Alam natin kung hanggang kailan, gaano karami, gaano dapat yung effort na ipuput natin, ano ba yung dapat nating ma-achieve, 100% ba, 70% ba. So, kailangan yun yung ating gawin. Kailangan merong measurement para alam natin kung hanggang kailan dapat natin ibigay yung mga actions na kailangan para ma-achieve yung ating goal. Next is attainable. So attainable, goals must be, it can be attainable or achievable. So goals must be achievable. So set yourself up for success by choosing something that is achievable. So pag sinabi natin achievable, first, kailangan specific yan. Pangalawa, kailangan measurable. And ang attainable, hindi yung parang sobrang ganda ng sinet mo na goal or objective, tapos sobrang taas ng measurement na binigay mo for a certain period of time lang na hindi mo na siya kayang i-achieve. So, mamaya magbibigay ako ng example kung ano ang kung ano ang isang SMART na goal. So, R stands for realistic. State what results can realistically be achieved given available resources. So be realistic when choosing your goal. So think about how will it affect your day-to-day life. So if the goal is attainable and achievable, of course it is a very realistic goal. We have to live in the reality na kayang gawin ng kahit sino or kahit nasa anong posisyon man ng mga employee ang mga sinaset natin na goal. And the last one is time-bound, letter T. Specify when the results can be achieved. So, kailangan magbigay tayo. Kailan ba gusto ma-achieve ang goal nito? Long-term, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years. So, we have to specify hanggang kailan mo siya gustong ma-achieve para guided yung actions ng bawat employees in the corporation. Kasi pag baka masyadong mabilis yung time na sinet mo, hindi na nila kaya. So, you have to give a well thought amount of time or period of time para ma-achieve yung sineset mo na goals. So, here is an example of a goal, and let's see if it is a SMART one. So the first goal is to increase company sales. So do you think it is a SMART goal? So of course, it follows the S. It's very specific. Alam mo kung ano yung kailangan mong ma-achieve. Kailangan natin gawin na ma-increase yung company sales natin. Tapos, ano na mangyari doon? At paano natin ma-measure? Attainable siya, pero paano natin siya ma-attain? Wala naman siyang measurement na binigay. Wala siyang time kung kailan natin siya dapat gagawin. Realistic siya, pero hindi natin alam kailan natin siya dapat gagawin. So now, the second one, to increase company sales by 100% at the end of the day. So, merong na-follow na abbreviation dyan. First one is very specific kasi may binigay na measurement which is 100%. May binigay na time which is end of the day. But is it attainable? Is it realistic? Kasi nakita natin kaya ba natin agad? Example, katatayo lang ng business natin. Kaya nga tayo nagsiset ng goals, di ba? Katatayo lang ng business natin, kaya ba natin na bawiin agad yung 100% ng sales natin or increase yung 100% of sales natin sa mismong araw na yun. So, it's unrealistic. It is unattainable. So, the last one, to increase company sales by 50% at the end of the year. Now, that is a SMART goal. Kasi, naka-specify, very specific, anong kailangan nilang gawin. Kailangan nilang increase ang sales. Measurement, 50%. Attainable, realistic. Kasi, at the end of the year, pa kailangang ma-achieve or within that year, gustong ma-achieve ng company yung 50% na increase in company sales. So, that is an example of it. So, the second step in planning is to identify resources. So, in identifying resources, we must follow the 5 M's: the manpower, material, machines, methods, and money. So, manpower refers to the human element in the operating system. So, manpower, the key term here is human. So, it refers to the managerial and non-managerial personnel employed in an organization. So, other resources cannot we all know that other resources, yung material, yung money, yung method, yung machine, they cannot act by themselves and they have to be utilized by human beings. Therefore, human resources mobilize, they allocate, they utilize the physical and financial resources of the organization. So, the key term in manpower is human effort. Or just simply understand manpower is man. Ito yung mga employees natin in the organization. It can be the employees, all of the managerial and non-managerial, from the president up to the utility, to the janitor, to the customers, to the supplier, lahat sila ay belong sa manpower. Next is the materials. So, materials represent the physical raw materials and intermediate products which are converted and assembled into finished products. So, ang material natin, kabilang na dyan ang input process. Yan ang input, di ba? Mayroong input, process, output. So, input, yun yung mga raw materials na kailangan natin para ma-achieve natin yung mga outputs na kailangan ng company. So, without materials, human resource is made redundant. So, ibig sabihin, pag wala tayong kailangang mga material, nauulit lamang yung kailangan natin ng human resources. Thus, every right thinking and right planning organization knows that materials are needed for any business or services must be in place before man can be of use. Kailangan pa rin ng human effort, kailangan pa rin ng manpower ng mga materials for them to do their activity. So, poor quality of materials potentially ruins the entrepreneurship or the business. Next is the machine. So, machine are the equipment. These are the technology na ginagamit natin. So, machines are the facilities, the equipments used to process the materials into finished or semi-finished products. So these are the modern machineries that helps to reduce the cost to improve the quality of the output. So these are the machines are metal things, metal items that have made man fulfill almost the activities effortlessly kasi tinutulungan tayo, mas dumadali yung trabaho natin. Merong mga computer is an example of a machine. So, dumadali yung system, yung trabaho dahil nagkakaroon tayo ng katulong na very efficient din naman yung mga machine. Next is the methods. So, methods refer to the normal and prescribed ways of doing things. Various operations are performed according to certain system and procedures. So, methods is the process and the systems na nangyayari within the company. So, yung mga rules, yung mga regulations, yung mga system na fina-follow, yung mga protocols, yung mga policies, that belongs to the methods. Yun yung mga methods, yung mga process na fina-follow para magawa activity at yung mga process and rules na fina-follow din ng mga employees. The last one is the money. So the money is the most critical and all-purpose resource because ito yung ginagamit natin. Ito yung financial aspect na ginagamit natin for the company to acquire or hire other resources. May money tayo para makapag-hire tayo ng manpower. Kailangan natin ng money para makabili ng materials, ng machines, at para maipagpatuloy ang ating mga systems na ginagawa within the company. So, that is the 5 M's in the second step, which is to identify resources. And the third step is to identify goal-related task. So, in this step, management must figure out how to achieve an objective. So, for example, if ang target ng company for this year is to increase sales by 15%, kailangan yung task na kailangan natin gawin ay kinoconsider natin yung pag-achieve ng goal na to. The first way to identify goal-related task is to hire more sales agent. Kung gusto natin increase yung sales natin, mag-hire tayo ng sales agent. If the management believes that number of sales agent is not enough para masuportahan yung mga increase na gusto mong mangyari sa company. So, goal-related task, kailangan gumawa tayo ng mga task na related sa goal na sineset natin. Next is establish responsibility centers for accountability and timeline. So if tasks are already identified to achieve goals, the next important step to do is to identify which department should be held accountable for this task. For example, yung ginamit natin na to increase company sales by 50% at the end of the year. Kailangan we have to immediately jump into the conclusion that ang responsible dito is the head of the sales, the head of the marketing, if kailangan mag-hire ng employees, kailangan administration, if kailangan ma-follow mga procedures, kailangan ang administration din, ang production. So, kailangan ina-identify natin sino ang responsible na department para ma-achieve yung mga goal natin. Kailangan bawat department nag-work. The fifth step is to establish the evaluation system for monitoring and controlling. So for corporations, the management must establish a mechanism which will allow plans to be monitored. Ibig sabihin, the next step we have to do is to make an assessment or we have to test if kaya bang ma-achieve. Evaluation system, kailangan ng assessment ng company. Kailangan malaman natin, ma-quantify natin if kaya ba talagang gawin ng company. Evaluation, we have to evaluate our employees kung nagagawa ba nila yung mga trabaho nila. And the last step is to determine contingency plans. So when we say contingency plans, kailangan we have alternatives, we have options. 'Di ba? Nag-set na tayo ng plans. So we have to paano pag hindi nag-work yung plan natin na yun, kailangan merong contingency plan. So when we say contingency plan, it is options and alternatives and choices. So pag walang plan A, dapat may plan B, plan C, plan D. So that is what we call the contingency plans. Kailangan lagi tayong ready for backup.